Good afternoon, Photo Play Paper Peeps. I'm so excited to share with you my newest mini album using Photo Play's Trick or Treat by Mari Koegelenberg. I absolutely love this collection and I'm going to tell you how much I love it. Okay, so I basically used all of it and I have nothing left over but scraps. So if you want to make this album, you will need the 12 by 12 collection kit, and it comes with the 12 by 12 sticker sheet. I also used the die cuts and the polymer stamps. Okay, so I just can't wait to get more of this. Oh, and for the stickers, okay, I only have three left over, and then some of the stars. Okay, so let's get into this little album. First of all, let me give you the measurements. It is 9 inches long, and then the spine is 2.5 inches wide. And then this is going to be 4 inches. So, I got the googly dots or the googly eyes from the Dollar Tree, and these charms are from my stash right here, as well as the ribbons. And then this little chain right here that has like a little crystal ball, just a little charm, a witch's broom, a palmistry hand, and a little haunted house. But let's get into this. So first of all, I used a little doorknob here, and then I just basically used some of the clasps from my jewelry stuff. So let's get into this. So this is from the sticker sheet, and with these, the boo and the moon, I just popped it up on some pop dots. These are some little wooden witches legs that I painted, added a little bit of glitter on there, and then popped it up with a witch sticker hat. And I just love the little googly eyes on here, making it look kind of spooky. Here's some more of the stickers from the sticker sheet. I love these little ghosts. And then you have October 31st. And then I love this sticker, Happy Halloween. And then I actually added the Boo to You sticker on top of that sticker. I thought that was kind of cute. And then we have our little pumpkin sticker. So let's get on the inside of this little album. So first of all, it's going to start off with a little waterfall. And again, I just used some black jute and a sticker from the collection and popped it up with a pop dot. So this is magnetic, and it opens up and you have lots of little ephemera cards in here and lots of photo space. I just think this turned out so cute. I really love this paper collection. Just love these little spiders. They're so adorable. I love the Boo crew. So can't wait to start adding my photos in here. Right here we have a little pocket that holds one of the ephemera cards, and I did trim this down a little bit. I thought this was so cute where it says "You're so corny," and then I just popped up some of the stickers that were the little corn candy. And then we have a little tag right here, and then you can add a photo here as well. Also, each one of these pages have a mat. And what I did here is since I ran out of paper, I just used some paper bag cardstock is what I call it, or craft cardstock. And then I stamped here with the stamps. The only stamp that is not in this collection is this little dotted line here. I thought it was really cute and thought it kind of added on to here. And then of course the spider, I just used some glitter, and I don't know if you can see it, but I even added little yellow dots for his eyes. So anyway, I really had a lot of fun with this collection. It is so adorable. And anyway, lots of fun. Right here we have, it's like a trifold. So you can put photos here and then here and as well as here. And so basically there are two-page designs. There's a pocket page along with a trifold, and then there's also another pocket page. Here we have another ephemera card, lots of the candy stickers, and then also I made this little pull out where you can add more photos on here. Just love this collection. Isn't that so cute? And then we have another pull out. And this time I used the Boo with the ghosts on that one. And let me stick this back in here. Okay. And then we have a belly band page. So that is the two styles of the pages that are in here. And I just kind of mimicked it along the whole thing. So this is going to be a pretty easy album to make. It won't take you very long. And I think it comes out really cute. So we have another pull-out tag. And I believe this was like some buttons from the Dollar Tree last year for Halloween. So I bet you they've already got them in now because I saw them loading the Halloween stuff today. So I was so excited about that. I love this Happy Haunting. I made it where you could tuck the photo underneath here if you'd like. And then here, lots and lots of stickers in this whole collection. Gimme Candy. Love, love, love. Boo down here. So stinking cute. Again, another pull out, and this one's a scary cute with the little pumpkins. And then here's one of the die cuts, and I just added a little button on here, popped up a sticker again with the little bat that says Eek. I painted again some of my wooden embellishments that were in my stash. Again, another tag pocket. So that's really cute. Again, I popped up my little cat here. And I made it where you could slide your photo on underneath, and then once you get your photo down there, you can go ahead and remove the backing to this little foam dot. And then here, this slides underneath there. So again, we have another tag right here that pulls out. Okay, so another pocket page. Again, same thing where you can hold your photo under there. Another pull out. This time I just used the stars. Love, love, love this collection. Again, I used some of my washi tape on here, and I'll tell you what happened. Up here I made a little boo-boo, and I accidentally ripped some of the paper, and so this is where your washi tape comes in handy. You can just hide that. Again, I have like another little wooden ghost that I painted. We have another tag here. Again, I did some more of the stamping. Love, love, love this. And foam dots again, holding the spooky up. Love this bat snot, pick your poison. Scary. Love, love, love. And then this one I did not, oh no, this one does have a magnet. I don't know why I did that. Okay, so then we have more of the stickers from the sticker sheet. Again, I just popped this one up, backed it up with some cardstock and cut around it. Love, love this. We have another pull out. And this is the last one, and this is where I did Batty for You and have little bats on there. And then on the final page, it's another pocket tag holder. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Okay, and then with the bat stickers, I decided to glue on some little googly eyes again. I just love this whole little project, and I can't wait to get some more of this paper. So I'm just going to put that underneath there. And then I have another pop-up with a sticker. And this one actually I stick down. And that's the end of this. I hope you all like how this turned out. And the video is up next. So have a wonderful and fabulous day, y'all. And don't forget that the written tutorial will be up very soon. Thank you. Bye. Okay, what I am going to be doing is this Skinny Mini, and this is going to be pretty easy for you, okay? So this time I decided when I started creating this album that I wanted to make two specific page designs, okay? So the first one is going to look just like this. So it's going to be a trifold. And I wanted to open up so that this all matches. So if you're using any kind of pattern paper, I mean, you don't have to do it the way I did it, but this is just, I thought it gave a lot of room to put photos. And then, of course, I made these little tags right here. And I only put the sheet on one side so that I could write on the back with a, white chunky marker or whatever. And then also this is your little pocket. Okay, so that's a really simple and easy page to do. So for me, on my particular one, I'm doing 3 of this exact design. Um, and then on my second one, you're going to have a pocket. So you're going to have a large pocket here that you could either hold an extra photo or I'm going to use mine for a tag, okay? And this is an expandable pocket. And then also you have your belly band. And this is kind of where I use some of the stamps here. I just thought they were so cute. I just wanted to include that in here. And then again, we have another tag. So those are the 2-page designs. So it's really going to be simple. So I have 2 of these and 3 of these, but you could do it vice versa. If you like the belly band better, you could do 3 of these. Okay. So anyway, you'll have 5 signatures all together. And let's start off with the first one. This is so simple. So I used 8.5 by 11 cardstock, but you can use 12 by 12 if you'd like. For your first page, you're going to have your paper at 10 3/8 by 8.5. So that makes it very simple. Then you're going to score it at 3.5. This is on your 10 3/8 side. You're going to score it at 3.5 and 7 inches. So I will say that on mine, for my folding right here, what I did is I took off a tiny hair so that this would not fight when it's closing. I also rounded my edges with a corner punch. So for the back side, which is going to be your sleeve, this is going to be 9.5 by 3.5. And then on your 9.5 inch side, you're going to score it at 1/2 inch and then at 9 inches. Okay. And then you're going to fold on those score lines. And I'm going to go ahead and show you this. So on my tri-fold, I'm going to close this up. And I like to use glue, but you could use any adhesive that you want to. I'm going to go ahead and attach this, okay? Just going to add my glue down here on the bottom. Okay. And I'm going to line it up. And I'm definitely going to wipe my glue off so that this does not stick when I'm trying to fold it over. Okay, so wipe off any excess glue if you're using glue. And then I'm going to attach this at the top, okay? Now, for your pocket, that's going to go at the bottom of this page, you're going to have your cardstock cut at 4.5 by 3.5, okay? And it actually looks a little bit less than that, but it should be 3.5, okay? On your 4.5 inch side, you're going to score at 1/2 inch. And then 4 inches, or you could just do 1/2 and then 1/2. It's up to you. And then on your 3.5 inch side, you're going to score again at 1/2 inch. Now for your center, I believe that is at 1 3/4, okay? But when I was on my, let me just make sure I did this right, because I used my little punch board. See, it's actually going to be at, is that really 1 3/4? It is. I apologize, guys. Yes, 1 3/4 is where you're going to punch it at. And that's with this folded in, okay? Make sure you do that. If you don't fold it in, it's going to be at, should be 2 1/4. Yes, that's what it looks like. But I like to fold mine over just so that it's really accurate. And you're going to do that at 1 3/4, okay? So that's really simple. At this point, if you are not good at sliding the paper underneath, you could go ahead and um, attach your pattern paper first and then add your pocket up above, okay? But for me, I'm going to go ahead and attach my pocket. Because my pattern paper that I cut is actually um, a little bit smaller than the pocket, so I'm okay with that. And I can slide my paper in there. Okay, just to make sure that it's not glued down in there. I'll just make sure there's room. Okay, so now we're going to start on page 2. And of course, this is our little pocket page along with our belly band. Okay, so let me give you the measurements for that one. This one, again, I used 8.5 by 11 cardstock. You are going to cut your cardstock down to 9 inches by 8.5. You're going to score at the 3.5 and then the 7 inches. Now for my inside, I want to make this an expandable pocket. So I'm going to need these little hinges here. And those are going to be 2 inches by 1 inch. And then I'm going to score at a 1/2 inch on the 1 inch side. So let me go ahead and do that now. And then I'm going to fold on the score line and burnish that in. Okay. Then I'm also going to clip just a hair off because I'm going to round my corners. You don't need to do this if you're not rounding your corners, I believe, so, but I like mine rounded. So let me go ahead and do that now. I'm just going to use my little rounded corner punch. Sorry, I don't mean to make wreck. Don't mean to make that banging noise. Okay, and then, yeah, I think that's it for this one. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and attach my little hinges. And I want my little mouth facing on the inside. And I'm going to leave like a 1/16 of an inch. I know you can't tell on the black here, but I'm leaving a 1/16 of an inch above the score line. And that is to allow room to fold it over without having to accidentally bend my paper. I'm just going to butt it up to the edge here. Pull it up a little bit. And wipe off any excess glue. I'm going to burnish that in. I'm going to do the same on this side as well. Oops, I did that a little too close there. Let me scoop that in a little bit. There we go. I went a little bit off the edge. Okay. So let me do that as well on this side. Again, leaving that little space, that 1/16 of an inch. I'm going to butt it up to the edge. Burnish it in, and if you have any excess glue, this time I don't, so good thing there. I'm going to go ahead and glue this down. Now again, you could wait until you put your pattern paper on here and then glue it down, but I'm okay with gluing it down now at this point. Okay, so now I have this done. And now we're going to turn to our back side, okay? You're going to need another piece of paper that is the same size as the other one that I had mentioned. It is 9.5 inches. You're going to score it a 1/2 inch and then 9 inches by 3.5, okay? Now, for our belly band, you are going to need a piece that is 4.5 inches. I'm sorry, 4 5/8 by 2 inches, and then I scored at a 1/2 inch and then 4 1/8. Okay, 4 1/8. Now that seems kind of bizarre, but I wanted to leave enough room for this belly band. So I'm going to go ahead and fold on my score lines. Okay. And again, I'm going to attach this before I put on my paper, but let me just check my measurement here. So at 3 1/4, I'm going to make a little mark. Okay. Let me see if I can. I do have a piece of chalk, but it's just hiding. Okay, so I'm going to go in a little bit so that you can't see that. 3 1/4, okay, is where I need to put my little edge here, okay? Flip it over. And I like to glue mine on to behind so that there's not any excess stuff popping off my page. Just kind of slimlining it. Okay. And then again, we're going to attach this at our bottom. Just sliding it into place. Wiping away any excess glue so it doesn't accidentally glue down together. And I'm going to turn it around and attach this one. So guys, like I said, I promised y'all this was going to be easy, and it is. So now we have our 2 base pages. Again, I'm only doing 5 signatures, so that means 5 page designs all together. And then we're going to start working on our binding system, okay? And then I will work on the cover as well. So we'll be back. I forgot to mention one thing. If you're going to use magnets, you'll want to go ahead and attach these before you put this together. So what I did was I took 2 small magnets. Because these pages are longer, I just felt like it would be a lot neater to do 2 magnets. So basically you will need 4. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and you would do that as well on your pocket page to here. All right, and then I'll be back. For your tag inserts, you are going to need 5, okay, at 8.5 by 3 1/4. And for me, it actually would be a little bit shorter. Let me just double check this measurement. If you are not using a rounded edge punch or whatever, it's going to need to be at least 8 3/8. If you go to 8.5, that'll be too long and it will stick out of the book. So mine had this little rounded edge, so it's just up to you how you want to do it. But for mine, it was 8.5 by 3 1/4. So you'll need 5 of those, and then we're going to do a little mini booklet on the inside of one, and this one is going to be 6 3/4 by 8 1/8. Okay, and you're going to score it at, looks like, I'm sorry, I apologize, I can't really see, 3 3/8. Let me just double check. Yep, 3 3/8. Okay, so that will go on the inside of one of the pages that holds the tags. And then also on the second one, it's going to be 3 1/4 by 8 1/4. And this is just going to be a regular tag. I'm going to round the edges again on this one as well. And that will go, let me show you real quick. Nope, not that one. I apologize. That will go inside this one. Okay. So anyway, we will get to the binding in just a moment. So now we're going to be working on our hinge system for our Skinny Mini. So first of all, you're going to need a sheet of solid colored cardstock. I went ahead and went with black to match with my other cardstock that I've used for this, and you're going to need it 8 1/2 by 11. Then on the 8 1/2 inch side, you're going to take off 1/8 of an inch, which will bring it down to 8 3/8 by 11 inches. And then on your 11-inch side, we're going to start scoring for our hinge. Okay, so you're going to score at 1 1/2. You're going to score at 1 1/2, 1 7/8, 2 3/8, 2 7/8, 3 1/4, 3 3/4, 4 1/4, 4 5/8, 5 1/8, 5 5/8, 6 inches, 6 1/2, 7, 7 3/8, 7 7/8, 8 3/8, and 8 3/4. And I already went ahead and scored these. And I usually score over them twice. That way it's easier when I start doing my folding. So I'm going to get out my mat so I have an even space to work with. And I'm going to start creating my hinges. The first thing I did was after the first 3/8 inch, you're going to have 2 1/2 inches right here. And that's where I start writing down with a piece of chalk. Okay. And so I have 1, and then I have again my 3/8 inch gap, and then I have 2, and then 3/8, 3, 3/8, 4, 3/8, and 5. So that's my 5 hinges for my 5 pages. Okay, so I'm going to start off with this first hinge. I'm going to skip that 3/8, and then I'm going to work on the 2 halves. Okay, and I'm just going to burnish that in. And you can literally get all of those prepared. Since I already have them numbered, I know exactly where they're at. Okay, and I'm just going to burnish those in just to get them ready. Okay, so that when I turn it over, I know where I need to put my adhesive. I use a combination of glue and tape. So it's up to you what you want to use, but I do use art glitter glue, which you can find on Amazon. Let me grab my tape right here. And I'm going to start off with my first hinge. So I'm going to flip it over. Again, like I said, you're going to see that 3/8 inch here. You're going to skip that. What I like to do is grab my score tape. Let me put that right there so that it doesn't lift up. Okay. And then I'm going to put down my first tape line. Okay. And that's all I do right there. And then I remove the tape, and then I fill in, oops, I fill in this 1/2 inch right here, or now it's 1 inch combined with my glue. Okay. Then I'm going to fold over and burnish it in and wipe off any excess glue if you have any. Then I'm going to fold back on that score line. Again, let me wipe up that excess glue. And, whoops, excuse me. Again, burnish it in. So now I still have another 3/8 inch score line. I'm going to skip over that. And now burnish that in. Any overhangage, we'll just lift it back onto the paper. And again, there we go. Burnish that in. And again, oops, wipe off any excess glue. And I do this pretty hard, okay, so that it will stay. Then again, I'm going to fold on that score line. Okay. So if I flip it over, it should look something like this. See, you'll have your hinge right here. That's your first hinge and your second hinge, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and put it back on the side I was working on. Again, skipping that 3/8 inch. And then add my score tape. Burnish it in. And glue it down. I'm just going to continue on till I get to the end. Got lots of overhang this time. You could solely use score tape, but I live in a humid area, so even if it's score tape, it'll still lift. It doesn't matter. With the humidity here, you can't win. Okay. Oops. And burnish it in. And now I should be down to my last hinge here. Okay. So now I'm just going to work these little hinges and I'm going to burnish them in back and forth until they're pretty flexible. And oops, I must have had some glue on that. That's okay. Okay, so now my hinges look pretty darn good. Okay, and I have these last two score lines. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue and fold these over on top of one another, okay? But first of all, I do want to add a little bit of tape in between my glue, okay? Just to double make sure that it is going to stick. Okay. I'll burnish that in real good. Any overhang, push it back onto the paper. And you definitely want to make sure you push it back onto the paper, otherwise it'll kind of stick out like little hairs and it'll drive you nuts. Okay. Make sure I have plenty of glue. And yes, it'll probably seep out, but that's okay. I'd rather it be completely glued than not. So now I'm going to fold it on that very first score line. And I'm going to push down really hard. Trying to get that excess glue out. Okay. See? Oops. Okay, so that looks really good. Yep, more glue seeping out. Okay. I'm going to turn it around. I apologize, I'm getting a little crazy here, but that's how I roll. I'm going to go ahead and fold it on that last score line. And I'm going to add a little bit of tape in between here. And again, burnish it in. And burnish that in. Okay, now my hinge is ready to go. And it looks like I did miss a couple little hairs here, so I'm going to go ahead and trim those little pieces of tape off just to get it out of there. Okay. So now we'll get started on our cover, and then I will be right back. One thing I wanted to make sure to let you know is that I'm going to go ahead and I want to mark where my center was going to be for my spine, okay, which is my hinge. So at a 1/4 inch and 8 3/4, that is your center, okay? So just be aware that you'll want to get it in the middle of that when you're actually laying it down. So we'll be back in just a minute and we're going to cover this. Okay, so for covering our cover, you're going to need 2 sheets of cardstock, and I have mine marked as left and right. So we're going to start with the left. The left side is going to be 6.5 by 11 inches, okay? And you do not have to do this part, but I like to do it. I like to pre-score mine. So I would have scored it at 1 inch, and then turned it counterclockwise 1 time. On the 11-inch side, I would score it at 1 inch. Okay, and then I'm going to flip it over because I want my mountain high on this side. Okay, so I'm going to move this over real quickly, and then we're going to work on our right side. This piece is going to be 7 inches by 11 inches, and on the 11-inch side, I scored it at 1 inch. Now this just helps me keep everything kind of very organized, if that makes any sense, and so that I'm lining up my pieces of chipboard straight. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my score tape, okay, and this would be better if you had 1/4 inch score tape, but I don't. I have 1/8 inch. So what I'm going to do is right at the edge of my left side of paper, well, my right side, but this is considered my left, if you know what I mean. Okay, And then I'm going to put 2 strips of tape, which will equal a 1/4 inch, right side by side. Okay. And then I'm going to burnish it in. And if I have anything hanging over my edge, I'm going to trim that off now, so I do not have to worry about it later. Okay. Then I'm going to, I've already burnished, I'll burnish it in one more time, just to be on the safe side. And I'm going to grab my adhesive. Oops. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and add my glue. And like I said, I do this because of the humidity. If you are in a dry area like Arizona or something, you would not need to do that. So now at this 6 1/4 inch, I'm going to line it up. And I'm keeping both of my score pieces down at the bottom. Okay. And then I'm going to burnish it in. Okay, and I'm going to do that on both sides. Okay. So now I can go ahead and take my, I'm going to go ahead and move this out of the way, okay? Sorry for my dirty looking board here, and I always like to keep my stuff lined up straight. Okay, move my score tape out of the way. And then I'm going to, here's my 1 inch score line right here and my 1 inch score line here. I'm going to line these up and I will glue this down. But first, I will use a little bit of tape and I'm just going to crisscross it. I really do not use a lot of score tape. And I'm going to get my glue. Also, if you apply the glue on top of your score tape, it allows you to have just a slight bit of wiggle room to move it into place. I'm just going to line that up along my score lines. And then I can burnish it in, and I'm going to do that from both sides and wipe off any excess glue. Okay. Okay, should have cleaned off my mat first, huh? Okay, now I can do my centerpiece. Do that same thing with my crisscross. And I use my perfect trim ruler, but if you have something else, you could use that. I know some people use 2 pieces of chipboard and stick it together. And this is for my little 1/8 inch gap that I'm going to be making here. I'm going to line this up. Let me pull this up a little bit so you can see what I'm doing here. And like I said, that glue allows you to move it around a little bit. Okay. Last piece. I'm going to add my score tape. Oops. And for these covers, I really prefer the score sheets. But, you know, like I said, what I'm doing right here is just as good. As long as you're using glue, You should be okay. Okay. Grab my perfect trim ruler. Again, line this up along my 1-inch score line. Oops. I can burnish it in. Okay. We want to do that on both sides. Let me wipe off my excess glue here. And I really do this pretty hard. Okay. Now I'm going to grab my perfect trim ruler. And since, for y'all, since this is black paper, I'll use a piece of chalk. I normally would use a piece of pencil. I mean, not a piece of pencil. I would use a pencil. So I'm going to do this on the 1/4 inch right here. And I'm going to line these up. This makes it super easy for trimming my corners. I'm going to make sure it's on the 0.25 on all my corners, okay? Now I have just a hair bit too much on this side, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take off about 1/4 inch. And then now I'm just going to trim my corners. You want to have at least 1 inch on each side so that you have plenty of room to cover your book. Okay. So let me get rid of this trash. Alright, so here's the point where we're going to start getting these pieces ready, and I'm going to go ahead and push these up and get my edges ready. Okay, I'll do that on this side as well. Make sure you pull it all the way up. Again, same thing. This one is easy because it's already scored, but I don't always score all my lines, so they have a little wiggle room in case I goof. Okay, so I'm going to start off with the longer pieces first, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and get some score tape, and this is just how I do it. If you do yours differently, that is okay. Okay, burnish that in. Oops. And I'm going to glue. And burnish this in. Okay, so for where your hinges are at, where your hinge is going to be, right here, you're going to slowly and gently fold those in, okay? I'm going to do the same thing on this side as well. And that glue is actually going to adhere to this piece right here, okay? And in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and kind of push these little edges in, okay? I'm going to do the same thing on this end as well, okay? Now I'm going to start on this end. Okay. Garnish those in. And use my adhesive. And remember, any overhang of your tape, go ahead and fold it back onto the paper so that it's not sticking out. Okay. Again, same thing I did earlier. And burnish it in. Work that in there. Work that in there. And then again, my little corners. Okay. Burnish that in. Okay, and fold it over. Oops, got lots of glue sticking out that time. And burnish it in really well. I especially like to mash down that little corner there. Okay. And then now we just have our last side right here. And glue. Okay, so this is looking really good. Now we're going to give you the measurement in just a minute for this inside piece. But it looks like it's going to be, and I'm just going to double check, about 10 5/8 by 8 7/8. And I'll be right back. Okay, so I took two pieces of cardstock that were 8.5 by 11 and I cut them down to, the first one is going to be the left side. So again, we're going to do that weird thing. So it's going to be 5 3/4 by 8 7/8. And then this next piece is also going to be 8 7/8, except that it's going to be 5 1/8 by 8 7/8. Now, when I line these up on the board, okay, well, first, before I do that, I want to add my score tape here. So let me find what I did with my score tape. Okay, I found it. So I'm going to start off with my left side. And again, I'm going to do that same thing where I take my score tape and I basically set it at 1/4 inch from the edge. And I'm going to trim off my excess. Going to burnish that in. Okay, so now at this point, I'm going to marry these two pieces together at the 5.5 inch. Okay, so I'm going to take my right piece. I'm just going to line it up. And burnish that in. Okay. Now they're not going to see this side because I'm going to lay it like this. So I'm going to go ahead and that should be perfect. It is. Okay. So now at this point, I'm just going to attach this to the top of my page. I'm going to go ahead and do my edges first with the score tape. Like I said, the score sheets work way better in this situation, but I don't have any on hand. Okay, I'm going to get this on here, and I'm going to go ahead kind of have to work quickly because your glue does dry fast. Okay. And I'm just going to center this on here. And burnish it in quickly. Okay. I'm going to wipe off my excess glue kind of as I'm burnishing it in. Because I need to be really fast. Okay, now where my score lines are, you're going to see that. And I'm going to slowly bend this on my little hinge, my score line here, and work it in there. Okay, if you go too hard with your bone folder, what will happen is it will crack. Okay, so again, we're going to do that again slowly. Okay, also you want to get out any bubbles before you do this, okay? So if you see a bubble up in here, you're going to want to flatten that out real quick before you start doing this part, okay? Now it's perfect. Look at that, so cute. Okay, so now at this point, you have two options. You can add your pages on here before you attach the hinge, or you can attach the hinge here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a pencil, okay, because I can kind of see that, and I'm going to measure at 1/4 inch. I'm going to kind of center this first in between the score lines, and I'm going to mark my little 1/4 inch, okay? And this should be covered up, so hopefully you won't see it, but if worse comes to worse, you can erase that, okay? And it should be about a 1/16 of an inch in between your left and right, so it's pretty snug. I mean, about 1/16 of an inch to 1/8 of an inch, I would say. And I'm going to go ahead and lightly erase my lines here so they're not so noticeable. Okay, and then I'm going to get my adhesive. I'm going to use E6000 for this portion. I don't want any lifting at all. I'm not going to use any score tape because, again, we have extreme humidity here in Florida. Okay, I was finally able to get it open, and I'm going to go ahead and just okay, kind of got to be careful with this stuff. It really does smell, and it is not exactly quick drying, but it works really good. I mean, this sucker ain't gonna come back up. So that's the best part. So I'm just gonna get this on here. And then for me, it's easier to lay it on its side. And I'm just gonna line this up to where that 1/4 inch is. And I want to make sure that I have it even on the sides as well. Okay. So as long as it is in between the 1/4 inch marks and about a 1/16 or 1/8 of an inch in between your left and right score, you should be okay. Perfect. So I'm just going to wipe off any excess glue. Although it does dry clear. I'm just going to let this sit here for a while. Don't forget to burnish it in a little bit, okay? Just double check to make sure it's lined up properly. And once this is dry, we will put our signatures on our hinges, and then you can go ahead and cover your book and the inside as well, and then we'll be done. And so if you want to do that, you're going to go to 1 1/4 inch, and I'm going to use my We Are Memory Keepers punch. I'm going to use a smaller one this time. And actually, at 1 1/4 inch, it just happens to be right where the center is. So I'm just going to pick that. I want to make sure I don't go down too far. And so I've just made a small little hole right here. And then I'm going to use a Tim Holtz doorknob to attach my chain. is what I think I'm going to do. But we will find out real quick if that's going to fit in there. But in the meantime, now I can go ahead and start attaching my pages. So what I like to do is I like to put my pages in order first, and then I'm going to get out my score tape. And again, I use the same combination of score tape and glue. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up about a 1/16 of an inch from the bottom here with my score tape. Okay, I don't know if you can see that, but I leave like a small little gap there. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side as well. Okay. I'm going to burnish this in. And again, if I have any tape, I need to, trim that off. Okay. I'm going to burnish it in. And then I attach one page at a time. And I'm sure most people do that. I don't know. And then I'm going to add my glue here up at the top of this. And I'm going to show you in a second sideways how that looks. And I do that on both sides. So if you can see that, and I'm going to take my little tag out so that it's not in my way. I like to stick my hand in the center here. And it should just slide on. Oops, this one kind of. See, that's what happens when you accidentally don't clean off your overage of glue. Your page can glue together. So I'm going to. This one's being a little stinker today, huh? And it should slide right on there. And then I lift it up a little bit from the bottom, about a 1/16 of an inch. And I'm going to scoot it down just a tad. And I get my bone folder. And I just rub it along here. Now, it's up to you whether or not you decorate your pages first. I do. Some people don't. That's completely up to you. But I want to get right in there and make sure that's burnished in. Okay. And then I'm just going to keep on moving down until I'm all finished. I'll show you with one more and then I'll stop the video and then we'll show you the finished product. So I hope you all have enjoyed the tutorial and I will be back soon with my next one. Thanks for watching, guys. I decided kind of at the last minute to do a inside waterfall at the front. And so what I'm going to do is for my inside pattern paper, it's going to be 4 inches by, 3 7/8 inches by 8 7/8 inches, okay? And then what I want to do is I want to create like a little band that's going to go on here, like a slider band. And that is going to be 1.5 by 8.5, and you're going to score it at a 1/2 inch. And then for your second piece, it's going to be 5 7/8 by the same measurement at 1.5 inches. And then on the 4 7/8 inch side, you're going to score it at a 1/2 inch. Okay. Now for the little slider band, that is going to be 4.5 inches by 1.5 inch. And then on the 4.5 inch side, you're going to score at 1 inch, 1/8. Looks like 2 3/4 and 2 7/8. Okay. And then what I'm going to do with this little belly band is I'm going to fold it on the score lines, and then it should look something like this. And I'm just going to glue this together. Okay. And then we're going to find our middle of this piece to add on our band, okay? And I'm looking at 1 1/4, right about there. Looks about right. So let me just double check. 1 1/4 inch. Flip it over. Yep. So I'm going to go ahead and glue this top piece down. Oops. And I am going to pattern this. Put some pattern paper on top. But I just want to get this down for you. And I did round my corners. So I'm going to do the same thing on the opposite side. And that's easy to line that up. I'm just going to hold that down. Oops. So your slider mechanism is going to go something like, you know, you'll just move it up and then it'll undo it. Okay? You can kind of keep it in the center there if you want. Did this move out of whack? No. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and cover this real quick. And then for my waterfall, okay, that I've decided to have here. And if you don't want this little belly band, you could easily use a magnet. And I might just do that. I might do a magnet. I kind of like the magnet better. Anyway, I would use about 2, 1 and 2. For my waterfall, what I wanted to do was use all these 3x4 cards. So I decided to make mine 4 3/4, and then you're going to score it at 1/2 inch, okay, which actually would be this way. So 4 3/4 on the 4 3/4 inch side, score it 1/2 by 3 1/4 inches, okay? So basically you have a 1/4 inch border around your little card here. Is that not cute? So, and if you want to round your edges, you can. I think I might do that. No, I think I'm going to leave it rectangle. Anyway, I made 5 of these, okay? And I may be able to add another one, but I will be back and let you know if we're going to do that. Okay, so I finished the waterfall, and all I did was add 2 more of the pieces that had the score line on it. And then for the final piece, right underneath this 1/2 inch, what I did was I just cut a black piece of cardstock that was 4 1/4 by 3 1/4, and I just glued it down, and then I added my little tag on top of it. So I think it turned out pretty darn good. And now I'm going to work on the back page. I apologize that there's like a lot of glue here. I made a hot mess today. Anyway, so I think it turned out pretty darn cute. So for this last one, I think I might just do a pocket. I'm not 100% positive, but I'll be back. For the last page, I decided just to leave it for photos. So I just wanted to let you know that. Anyway, Don't forget to add your hole back in for your chain. And then all you have to do is decorate at this point. So I will be back